Bloomberg Audio Studios. Podcasts, radio, news.
The single best idea is that if you have a team that has a storm as we've had. I saw one banner, I think on CNN, it said it's the biggest storm across the nation in 121 years. I have no idea if what I just said is true, but I think in the blur, I saw that. The scope and scale, like I saw the heaviest snow was in New Mexico. Arced across the ice in Nashville, on up to Nathan Hager and 99.1 FM in Washington, and Boston hit hardest at 92.9. It was just a really team effort among our direct Bloomberg surveillance team, but also all the people that make it go, like antennas. Like Matt Tomlin over in Central Park, Miles Miller fell down, and Matt had to pick him up with a crane. We got Miles Miller standing up on the hill over Julian Robertson's wonderful pond in the south end of Central Park. Just little vignettes about this storm. Our invent was to have a lot of Zoom and a lot of people plugged into what these markets are doing. Brian Belski joined from Humilis. Brian Belski on the move forward from momentum into 2026.
I think the market is going to be having a hard time transitioning from this really momentum, multiple-driven upside that we've, for all intents and purposes, seen since the fourth quarter of 2022 when the current bull cycle started. Our work shows historically that earnings-driven markets are still positive, but they're not as positive as multiple-driven markets. I think that's why this week is such a huge week, because we see some of the biggest tech companies come out with earnings, number one. Number two, we've had tremendous performance and outperformance the last week or 2 weeks from the small mid-cap area, which we've been talking about for a couple of years.
Brian Belski, we thank him for his discussion of the migration from the Minnesota Vikings to the Seattle Seahawks of their quarterback as well. There is a photograph, and I think it's really an important photograph of the history of this nation, of the grand old party and of public service at a young age. We live in a gerontocracy. We all know this. All these people staying around ancient. The president will be 80 this year, just as one example. And there is a photograph of George Bush the Younger with a freshly scrubbed child of the Carolinas. Patrick McHenry got into politics out of a love for this country at a very, very young age. He's 49 and holding now after all of his public service in the House. He's a Bloomberg consultant for us. Here is Patrick McHenry on the challenges of Minneapolis.
Trump's stance on immigration was his greatest political strength. And given what has happened in Minneapolis in the last 2 weeks, it's become a weakness. And so there's great concern about the specifics, the loss of life in Minneapolis, the care and training that those ICE officers have for the population, and the overall tactic here. But let's step back. The concern in Congress is the implementation of the laws. Congress needs to step in and actually change the immigration laws. I think that's what the Trump administration is trying to draw out.
Patrick McHenry of the Carolinas, I believe the 10th District in North Carolina. We'll be with you tomorrow. We're going to continue in this storm and in the new cold that's coming. 3 days of brutal cold, at least here in New York City. Out across the nation, the podcast on Apple, on Spotify, on YouTube. Subscribe to Bloomberg Podcasts. It's single best idea.